is the secret to transforming your destiny. Your thoughts shape your reality. If you look closely, life is nothing but the reflection of what goes on inside your mind. The world outside is not as powerful as the world you create inside your head. Two people can go through the same situation. One sees it as a blessing, the other as a curse. The situation is the same, but the difference is in the way they think. When your thoughts are positive, you see opportunities where others see obstacles. You see hope where others see despair. You see light where others see darkness. But when your thoughts are negative, even the brightest day feels like midnight. You will carry a storm inside you, even if the sun is shining above you. If you constantly think, I am not good enough, I am not capable, those thoughts will soon become your reality. You will not try because your mind has already convinced you that you will fail. On the other hand, if you train your mind to think, I can learn, I can grow, I can improve, suddenly your actions change, your confidence grows, and your life begins to transform. Thoughts are like the brush of a painter, and your life is the canvas. With every thought, you are painting a picture of your future. If you choose bright colors, gratitude, faith, kindness, patience, your painting becomes beautiful. If you choose dull and dark shades, envy, anger, greed, self-doubt, your canvas will reflect that darkness. That is why saints and philosophers have always emphasized, as you think, so you become. It is not magic. It is not philosophy alone. It is science. Your brain wires itself according to your repeated thoughts. Your behavior follows your beliefs, and your destiny follows your behavior. So, if you want to transform your life, don't start with money. Don't start with relationships. Don't even start with circumstances. Start with your thoughts. Because when you change the way you think, the way you feel changes. When the way you feel changes, the way you act changes. And when your actions change, your life transforms automatically. Your mind is the architect, your thoughts are the bricks, and your life is the building. The question is, what kind of building are you constructing? The mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant in it will grow, whether it is flowers or weeds. If you plant seeds of positivity, kindness, gratitude, and love, they will bloom into a beautiful, fragrant life. But if you allow anger, jealousy, doubt, and negativity to take root, they will grow wild and choke all the beauty out of your mind. Think about a gardener. He doesn't just plant flowers and leave the garden to itself. He waters the plants, pulls out the weeds, makes sure the soil is healthy, and gives the plants enough sunlight. Only then does the garden thrive. In the same way, we cannot expect a peaceful, joyful, and meaningful life if we are careless about what we feed our mind. We need to constantly water our mind with positive inputs, nurture it with wisdom, and protect it from the weeds of toxic thoughts. The reality is, weeds don't need permission to grow. If you leave the garden unattended for even a few days, weeds will take over on their own. Negative thoughts are just like that. You don't need to invite them. They show up unasked, uninvited. Fear, self-doubt, envy, irritation, they sneak in quietly, and if you are not careful, they multiply rapidly. But flowers don't grow by accident. You have to intentionally plant them. That means you have to make a choice every single day. What kind of thoughts will I plant in my mind? For example, if someone insults you, the seed of anger is immediately thrown into your mental soil. If you water it with more negative thoughts like, how dare they say that to me? I will show them. I will make them pay. Soon, that small seed of anger grows into a tree of bitterness, spoiling your peace. But if you choose not to water it, If you replace it with a different seed, maybe they are having a bad day, maybe I should respond with patience, then you allow a flower of compassion to grow instead of a weed of hatred. Our relationships, our work, even our health are all impacted by what kind of garden we are cultivating within. A mind full of weeds cannot produce joy. A mind full of flowers cannot spread pain. You may not control the seeds that fall into your garden. Life throws them all the time. But you can always control which seeds you water. And that choice will decide the beauty of your garden and ultimately the beauty of your life. So ask yourself every day, what seeds am I planting? Am I letting weeds take over, or am I consciously cultivating flowers? Because the truth is simple, what you water grows, and what you neglect dies. The question is, will you let your garden bloom, or will you let it rot? Awareness is the first step. You cannot control what you are not aware of. Imagine you are walking down a street with your shoelaces untied. If you are unaware, you will trip, you will fall, you may even hurt yourself. But the moment you notice the loose laces, you stop, bend down, and tie them. The problem doesn't disappear magically. You just became aware, and awareness gave you the power to fix it. The same is true with our thoughts. Most people are tripping in life, not because the world is against them, but because they are unaware of what is going on in their own mind. Our thoughts are like an endless stream, flowing day and night. Many times we don't even realize what we are thinking. We just act, react, and speak based on unconscious patterns. And then we wonder why life feels messy. Awareness is like switching on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, you see what's lying around. You see where you were stumbling. You see the things you couldn't see before. Awareness does not immediately change everything, but it opens the door for change. Without awareness, you remain a prisoner of your own mind. With awareness, you become the master. For example, when anger arises, most people don't even notice it in the beginning. They only realize after shouting, after hurting someone, after damaging a relationship. But awareness allows you to notice the first sparks, the tightening of the chest, the rising heat in the body, the rush of impatient thoughts. When you catch it early, you can pause, you can breathe, you can choose a wiser response. Awareness doesn't mean you never feel negative emotions. It means you catch them before they control you. Think of a security guard. His job is not to stop people from existing, but to observe who enters and who leaves. Similarly, awareness is your inner security guard. Thoughts will come and go, that is their nature. But awareness allows you to say, this is fear knocking at my door. This is jealousy trying to walk in. This is gratitude coming to visit. And once you are aware, you decide who stays and who leaves. Awareness also gives you perspective. Without awareness, when a negative thought arises, you become the thought. You say, I am useless. I am a failure. I am unworthy. But with awareness, you learn to say, I am noticing a thought that says I am useless. Do you see the difference? One statement is your identity. The other is just an observation. Awareness separates you from your thoughts. It reminds you that you are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. Great masters have said, the mind is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. And awareness is the tool that helps you put the mind back in its place. When you are aware, you realize, I don't have to obey every thought. I don't have to fight every thought either. I just need to notice and choose wisely. That simple shift from unconsciousness to awareness can transform the way you experience life. So if you truly want to take control of your mind, Begin by practicing awareness. Sit quietly for a few minutes every day. Watch your thoughts as they rise and fall, just like watching clouds pass across the sky. Don't judge them, don't fight them, just notice them. Over time, this simple act of awareness will strengthen your ability to choose which thoughts deserve your energy and which do not. Remember, you cannot heal what you cannot see. You cannot change what you do not acknowledge. Awareness is not the final step, but it is always the first. Without it, no transformation is possible. With it, every transformation becomes inevitable. Don't believe everything you think. This is one of the hardest lessons to learn, because the mind is very convincing. When a thought arises, it speaks with such authority as if it is the ultimate truth. But the reality is, thoughts are not facts, they are just suggestions. They are like clouds drifting across the sky. Some are light and harmless, others are dark and heavy, but none of them define the sky itself. Yet many of us treat every thought as gospel, and in doing so, we become prisoners of our own imagination. Consider a simple example. A student fails an exam. Immediately, the thought arises, I am a failure. No, is that thought true? No, it's just one test, one situation, one moment. But if the student believes that thought without questioning it, the label sticks. He stops trying, his confidence drops, and eventually his life bends in the direction of that false belief. The exam did not destroy him. The thought did. How many times has your mind whispered lies to you? Nobody cares about you. You are not good enough. You can't do it. It's too late for you. These are not truths. They are mental suggestions shaped by fear, insecurity, or past conditioning. But the moment you believe them, they start creating your reality. The mind says you can't, and you stop trying. The mind says they don't love you, and you push people away. The mind says you're weak, and you stop using your strength. It is almost like having a friend who constantly gives you bad advice. If you trust that friend blindly, you will walk into trouble again and again. But once you realize, wait, not everything he says is true, you start choosing wisely. The same principle applies to your thoughts. You must learn to question them, to hold them up against reality before accepting them as truth. Even science supports this. Psychologists have studied something called cognitive distortions, patterns of faulty thinking that create unnecessary suffering. For example, catastrophizing, where the mind exaggerates problems and convinces you the worst will happen. Or mind reading, where you assume you know what others are thinking, usually something negative about you. These thoughts feel real in the moment, but they are not accurate. By believing them blindly, people carry anxiety, fear, and depression that is rooted not in reality, but in distorted perception. A wise approach is this: treat every thought as a guest knocking on your door. When a guest arrives, do you immediately give them the keys to your house? No, you first check, who are they? Are they safe? Are they here to harm or to help? In the same way, when a thought knocks, pause and ask, is this thought true? Is it helpful? Does it serve me? If the answer is no, let it go. You don't have to entertain every visitor in your mental home. This doesn't mean ignoring your thoughts completely. It means developing the maturity to differentiate between the voice of fear and the voice of wisdom, between the noise of insecurity and the clarity of truth. Not every thought is a prophecy of your future. Not every thought is a reflection of your worth. Most are just passing impressions, echoes of old experiences, or random sparks in the brain. True strength lies in the ability to step back and say, my mind is saying this. but I don't have to believe it. That little distance between you and your thought is freedom. It breaks the chain of automatic reaction and opens the door to conscious choice. So remember this: your thoughts are not always your friends. Sometimes they are guides, sometimes they are warnings, but often they are just noise. Don't believe everything you think. Believe only what you have tested, questioned, and found to be true. Because the moment you stop being a blind follower of your thoughts, you start becoming the wise master of your life. Replace, don't just resist. This is one of the most practical and powerful ways to manage the mind. Most people think controlling thoughts mean pushing away the negative ones, fighting them, or suppressing them. But the harder you resist, the stronger they become. It's like telling yourself, don't think of a pink elephant. What happens immediately? A pink elephant shows up in your mind. The very act of resisting makes the thought even more vivid. That's why suppression is not the answer. The true art lies in replacement. Imagine you're holding a glass of dirty water. You can shake it, you can cover it, you can even close your eyes and pretend it's not dirty. But the water remains impure. The only way to make it clean is to pour fresh water into the glass until the dirty water overflows and disappears. Your mind works exactly the same way. If a negative thought enters, don't just resist it. Bring in a positive, constructive thought to take its place, and slowly the negativity will be flushed out. For example, if your mind tells you, you are a failure, don't waste energy screaming back, no, I'm not a failure. That is still engaging with the negative. Instead, gently replace it with, I am learning, I am growing. Every mistake is a stepping stone to success. Over time, the new thought becomes stronger and the old thought loses its power. Even in daily life, this principle is so relevant. If someone hurts you, your mind may generate thoughts of anger and revenge. If you simply try to suppress them, they will stay inside, boiling and growing, until one day they erupt. But if you consciously replace those thoughts with compassion, maybe they are struggling with something I don't know about. Maybe I can choose patience over anger. Suddenly the energy shifts. You don't become a prisoner of the negative. You become free. This is why gratitude practices are so powerful. The human mind naturally drifts toward complaints. What's missing? What's wrong? What's unfair? If you only try to resist complaining, you will still feel the weight of negativity. But if you actively replace complaints with gratitude, yes, this is difficult, but I'm grateful for what I still have. Yes, things aren't perfect, but there is still beauty in my life. Then the negative loses its grip. Replacement also works in habits. Let's say you want to stop scrolling aimlessly on your phone at night. If you simply resist, I won't do it, eventually the temptation wins. But if you replace the habit with something else, reading a book, journaling, listening to calming music, the urge weakens. The void must be filled, otherwise the old pattern returns. Nature does not tolerate emptiness, and neither does the mind. Think of your brain as a playlist. If a disturbing song comes on, you don't just sit there resisting the sound, you change the track. Similarly, when your mind plays a negative tune, don't sit in resistance. Choose a new thought, a new focus, a new story. Over time, your playlist becomes one of hope, strength, and positivity. So the secret is not to fight the mind, but to guide it. Not to suppress thoughts, but to redirect them. When you replace anger with patience, doubt with faith, fear with courage, and complaints with gratitude, you slowly rewire your brain. You teach it new patterns. and those patterns shape your destiny. In the end, remember, energy flows where attention goes. If you focus on resisting the negative, you're still feeding it. But if you focus on replacing it with the positive, you are feeding your growth, and what you feed will flourish. Practice daily mental hygiene. We all know the importance of brushing our teeth every morning. Nobody questions it. Even if we are late for work, even if we are rushing for school, we somehow make time to brush. Why? Because if we don't, our mouth feels unclean and eventually it will cause damage. Now think about your mind. Every single day, it collects dirt, negativity from people, stress from work, fear from the news, comparison from social media. Yet how often do we clean it? We spend time polishing our teeth, our clothes, our cars, but forget to polish the very instrument through which we experience life, our mind. Imagine not brushing your teeth for 1 week. How would it feel? Dirty, unpleasant, unhealthy. In the same way, when you don't cleanse your mind, it becomes cluttered, heavy, and toxic. You wake up anxious, you carry stress throughout the day, and you go to bed restless. That is why daily mental hygiene is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Just as your body needs regular cleaning, your mind needs daily cleansing practices that keep it fresh, light, and healthy. Mental hygiene can take many forms. For some, it is meditation, sitting quietly, watching the breath, and letting the mind settle. For others, it is journaling, emptying the thoughts onto paper so the brain feels lighter. Gratitude is one of the most powerful cleansers. When you consciously think of 3 things you are thankful for each day, it washes away complaints and trains the mind to focus on blessings. Prayer too can be a form of mental hygiene, where you release your worries and place them in the hands of something higher. Just as brushing takes only a few minutes, mental hygiene doesn't need hours. 5 minutes of silence in the morning can set the tone for the entire day. Reading even one uplifting page of wisdom can shift your mindset. Taking a short walk in nature without distractions can reset your thoughts. The point is consistency. 1 day of brushing doesn't keep teeth clean forever, and 1 day of meditation doesn't keep the mind peaceful forever. It is the daily practice that builds lasting clarity and strength. Think about how different your life would feel if you gave your mind the same care you give your body. Instead of carrying yesterday's anger into today, you would wash it off. Instead of letting social media comparisons poison your mood, you would cleanse it out. Instead of letting stress pile up week after week, you would reset every morning. Over time, just like a person with good physical hygiene shines with health, a person with good mental hygiene shines with peace, patience, and positivity. And here is something important: people around you benefit too. Just like nobody likes to sit next to someone with poor physical hygiene, nobody enjoys being around someone with poor mental hygiene. Always complaining, always angry, always negative. But when you practice cleaning your mind daily, you radiate calmness, kindness, and joy. You become a source of comfort, not chaos. So the question is, if we don't skip brushing our teeth, why should we skip brushing our thoughts? If we invest minutes to keep our body clean, why not invest a few minutes to keep our mind pure? Every day, before stepping out into the world, cleanse your inner world. Because only a clean mind can see clearly, think wisely, and love deeply. Environment shapes thoughts. We like to believe that we are strong, that our mind is completely under our control, but the truth is, our environment is constantly shaping us, silently and powerfully. Just as a seed cannot grow without the right soil, water, and sunlight, our mind cannot grow without the right surroundings. Even the best seed will rot if placed in barren ground, and even an ordinary seed can flourish into a great tree if it is placed in fertile soil. The same principle applies to your thoughts and your life. Think about the people you spend time with. Every conversation you have is like a seed being planted in your mind. If you spend your time with people who are always complaining, always gossiping, always negative, slowly that energy seeps into you. You may not notice it at first, but over time, your language starts changing, your outlook becomes darker, and your thoughts become heavier. On the other hand, when you are around people who are positive, purposeful, and kind, you begin to absorb that energy. Without even trying, your thoughts start aligning with theirs. This is why the saying goes, "Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future." Your environment is like a mirror that reflects back into your mind. If the mirror is full of cracks and dirt, your reflection will be distorted. But if the mirror is clear and clean, you see yourself more beautifully. Your mind needs the right reflection to thrive. Environment is not only about people, it's also about what you feed your senses. What kind of books do you read? What kind of videos do you watch? What kind of music do you listen to? Every piece of content is shaping your inner world. If you constantly consume violent, fearful, or shallow entertainment, don't be surprised if your thoughts start reflecting the same energy. But if you fill your mind with wisdom, with stories of hope, with messages of kindness, then your thinking will rise to that level. Even the physical environment matters. A cluttered room often leads to a cluttered mind. A calm, simple, and clean space allows the mind to breathe. That's why temples, monasteries, and places of meditation are designed to be serene. They influence the mind toward peace. If your environment is chaotic, your thoughts will struggle to find clarity. If your environment is ordered and inspiring, your thoughts will naturally flow in a positive direction. Take the example of water. When it flows through dirty pipes, it carries dirt. When it flows through clean pipes, it stays pure. Your mind is the same. It absorbs the energy of whatever channel it passes through. That's why guarding your environment is one of the greatest investments you can make in your mental health. You might say, "But I cannot always control my environment." That's true. Sometimes you cannot change your workplace or your family situations. But you can always create a personal environment of choice. By selecting what you read, what you listen to, and whom you spend your free time with. Even a few minutes of uplifting input daily can counter hours of negativity. Just like a single candle can brighten a dark room, a little dose of positive environment can keep your thoughts aligned. So remember, the environment is like the soil for your mind. If you want your thoughts to be pure, strong, and uplifting, place yourself in environments that nourish those qualities. Don't underestimate the subtle power of what surrounds you. Because sooner or later, your environment becomes your mindset, and your mindset becomes your life. Pause before you react. This single discipline can save relationships, protect your peace, and completely transform your life. Most people live on autopilot. Something happens, a thought arises, and immediately they react. Someone insults them, they insult back. Someone cuts them off in traffic, they explode with anger. Someone disagrees with them, they argue endlessly. In these moments, we are not responding consciously. We are being dragged by uncontrolled thoughts and emotions. But the simple act of pausing creates space between stimulus and response, and in that space lies your freedom. Think about fire. If you pour fuel on it immediately, it will explode into uncontrollable flames. But if you wait, If you allow the sparks to settle, the fire can fade on its own. Our thoughts of anger, fear, jealousy, and insecurity